Ever find yourself reading and suddenly, bam,
Oh, yeah.
you hit a word that feels like it belongs in a completely different language?
Yeah, like it's a whole other world.
Yeah, it's like you walk into a room in your house that you've been in a million times, and suddenly there's a hidden door you never noticed before.
Right.
And there's got to be something really cool behind it.
Absolutely.
But you just need to figure out how to unlock it.
Exactly.
That's kind of what we're doing today.
Yeah.
We're going deep on this guide we found, all about mastering advanced English vocabulary.
Like our treasure map.
Yes, our treasure map to unlock those hidden doors in the English language.
I love that.
So are you ready to learn the secret password to get into that secret room?
I am so ready. Let's do it.
Okay, so the guide starts off by talking about the importance of context.
Context is key.
Right, it's like words aren't just these isolated things floating around.
Yeah, they all work together.
They exist in a web of meaning, right?
So a landscape.
A landscape, okay.
Yeah, and so if you encounter a word that you don't know, don't just immediately grab a dictionary.
Right.
Look around at the words around it, at the sentences around it. What clues can you find?
That's a great point. It's like being a detective.
Exactly.
So what kind of clues should we be looking for?
All kinds. Sometimes it's synonyms, sometimes antonyms.
Oh, right, opposites.
Sometimes it's the overall topic of the sentence or the paragraph.
Like you can kind of guess what the word means based on what's going on around it.
Right.
Okay, so let's say we come across a sentence with a word we don't know.
Okay.
The guide gives this example. The beauty of the cherry blossoms was ephemeral, a fleeting spectacle of nature.
Okay, so ephemeral, that's the word we don't know.
Right, but we can be word detectives here.
I see it.
We know cherry blossoms are beautiful, but they don't last very long.
Right, a fleeting spectacle.
Exactly. So even without knowing the exact definition of ephemeral,
We can get a pretty good idea.
we can figure out that it means something that's short-lived, temporary. It's like the author's giving us a little wink, saying, hey, I know this word might be new to you, but check out these clues.
I like that, a little wink.
Right. It makes reading a little more fun.
It does.
So reading is actually one of the best ways to expand your vocabulary.
Absolutely. The more you read, the more you'll encounter these words in their natural habitat, surrounded by those context clues.
So it's not just about memorizing a bunch of words. It's about training your brain to see the connections.
Yes. To become a word detective.
I like that.
Yeah.
But what about those times when the context clues aren't super obvious?
Yeah, sometimes it feels like those words are written in a secret code.
Right.
And that's where our next tool comes in. Word roots.
Word roots.
You know, like prefixes, suffixes, all those little pieces that make up words.
Okay, so how do word roots help us crack the code?
Well, think of them like building blocks.
Okay.
Once you understand what those building blocks mean,
Like the pieces of the words.
you can start to put them together and figure out even the most complex words.
Okay. I'm intrigued.
For example, the word incomprehensible.
Incomprehensible. Yeah, that's a mouthful.
It seems intimidating, right? But if we break it down...
With our word root decoder ring.
Exactly. The prefix in means not.
Okay.
The root comprehend means to understand.
Okay, got it.
And the suffix e-syllable means capable of.
Right. Capable of.
Put it all together and you have not capable of being understood.
So incomprehensible just means something you can't understand.
Exactly.
That's amazing.
Right. So even those big, scary words often have a pretty simple explanation.
It's like learning a secret language within a language.
That's the beauty of word roots. And they can also help you make connections between words that you might not realize are related.
Okay, word roots officially added to my vocabulary toolkit.
Awesome.
But even with context clues and word roots, English still has so many words.
So many.
Sometimes it feels like I'm choosing between a million different shades of the same color.
Uh-huh. I know what you mean.
How do you pick the right word when there are so many that seem so similar?
That's where synonyms come in.
Okay.
English is rich in synonyms, but each word carries its own subtle shades of meaning.
So it's not just about finding a different word with the same definition.
No, it's about choosing the word that has the right nuance for what you want to say.
That makes sense.
Like choosing the right spice to enhance the flavor of a dish.
That's a great analogy.
So, for example, the guide talks about persuade versus coerce.
Okay, persuade versus coerce.
Both mean to get someone to do something.
Right, but they feel different.
Yes. Persuade suggests using reason or logic, while coerce implies force or pressure.
Yeah, so the difference is pretty big.
It is, and just changing that one word can totally change the tone of what you're saying.
Well, a single word can make that much of a difference.
Absolutely. It's about being precise with your language.
Okay, so I guess mastering advanced vocabulary is less about memorizing a giant dictionary and more about becoming a master chef of words.
Yes.
Carefully choosing the right ingredient for the job.
I love that analogy.
Right.
You're getting it.
But English also has some really weird phrases, those expressions that make absolutely no sense if you take them literally.
Ah, yes. You're talking about idioms.
Idioms, yeah.
Those are tricky, like little cultural puzzles.
So when someone says break the ice,
They don't actually mean you should start smashing frozen water.
thank goodness for that, I was a little worried there.
Right. It just means to start a conversation, to make people feel more comfortable.
Oh, that makes so much more sense. But I could see how those idioms could be really confusing,
They can be, for sure.
especially for someone learning English.
Yeah, they can be a real head scratcher.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here. Context, word roots, synonyms, and even idioms.
It's a lot.
It feels like we're building an impressive arsenal of tools.
We are.
But sometimes, even with all these tricks up our sleeves, we need to just buckle down and memorize some words right.
You're right. Sometimes there are just words you need to know.
Right.
And that's where the guide gives us a list of some really interesting words.
Like lists. Did you pick out any favorites?
I did. How about we dive into a few?
Yes, let's do it.
Okay, so the first one that caught my eye was obfuscate.
Obfuscate. That sounds kind of mysterious.
It does, right? It means to make something unclear or difficult to understand.
Okay. So if someone's trying to hide the truth or make things more complicated than they need to be,
You could say they're obfuscating the situation.
obfuscate. Got it. Okay, what's next?
How about ubiquitous?
Ubiquitous.
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 It means present or found everywhere.
Oh, like smartphones. You see them everywhere these days.
Exactly. They've become ubiquitous.
Okay, 2 new words down.
You're doing great.
One more to go. Let's see. Ooh, mellifluous.
Mellifluous.
That one just sounds beautiful.
It does. It means sweet sounding or pleasant to hear.
Like honey or birds singing.
Exactly.
Okay, I think my vocabulary just leveled up.
I think so too.
But I have a feeling there's more to this guy than just memorizing definitions, right?
You are right. There's a whole other level to uncover.
Oh, I knew it.
Yeah.
Okay, spill the tea. What else does this guide have in store for us?
Well, for that, you'll have to stay tuned for the next part of our deep dive.
Okay, fine. But you can't leave us hanging forever.
I promise we'll be back soon to explore even more strategies and insights for leveling up your English game.
Okay, I can't wait. All right, we are back and ready to continue our quest for advanced vocabulary mastery.
I'm excited to see what else we can uncover.
Me too. Before the break, we were talking about memorizing those key words.
Yes.
But I get the feeling there's more to it than that, right?
Absolutely. There's another layer to vocabulary acquisition.
Okay, I'm listening.
It's all about action, actually using the words we're learning.
So it's not enough to just know the definitions.
Right. You have to actually use the words, make them a part of your everyday language.
Okay, that makes sense. But speaking of words, this guide keeps using the word ineffable.
Ineffable.
Yeah, to describe things that are beyond words, things you can't really explain with language.
Oh, I see what you mean.
It's kind of ironic, isn't it?
It is a bit of a paradox.
Like the whole point of language is to give words to things.
Right, but there are just some experiences that are so powerful, so unique.
That words can't quite capture them.
Exactly.
Like, how do you describe the taste of the perfect strawberry?
Or the feeling of awe when you look up at a starry night sky.
Exactly. It's like those experiences transcend language.
But even though we might not be able to fully capture them with words,
We can still try.
yes, and the more words we have at our disposal, the closer we can get.
So it's like we're expanding the boundaries of what we can express.
Precisely. Even if we can't fully grasp the ineffable.
I like that, expanding the boundaries.
So how are you feeling about this whole vocabulary journey so far?
You know, honestly, I was a little overwhelmed at first,
Yeah, I get it.
but now I'm actually feeling really excited about it.
That's great to hear.
It's like we've broken this massive task down into smaller, more manageable steps.
Right.
Like that tip about incorporating one new word a day.
Yeah.
That feels doable.
It is. Small, consistent efforts make a big difference over time.
It's like a marathon, not a sprint. And it's not just about trying to sound smart or impress people with big words.
No, not at all.
It's about really understanding how language works.
Yes, and using that knowledge to express yourself more clearly, more effectively.
So it's like adding more tools to your toolbox.
I like that analogy.
The more tools you have,
The more you can build.
the more you can create with language.
Exactly.
But sometimes it feels like there are just too many tools, too many words out there.
It can be overwhelming.
Where do you even start?
Well, the guide suggests focusing on the words that really resonate with you.
Oh, so like the words that spark your curiosity?
Yes, or the words that evoke strong emotions.
The words that you just can't get out of your head.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's about finding the words that speak to you personally.
So it's less about trying to conquer the entire dictionary.
And more about curating your own personal collection of words.
I like that, curating my own collection.
And don't be afraid to revisit words you've encountered before.
Oh, right. It's not like you learn a word once and then you're done.
Each time you encounter a word in a new context.
You deepen your understanding of it.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've got our word lists. We're paying attention to context. We're using our word root decoder ring.
What else can we do?
Yeah, how do we actually put these words into practice?
Well, one suggestion is to find a language partner or join a conversation group.
Oh, so you can practice using those new words out loud?
Yes. And get feedback from other people.
Like having a workout buddy for your vocabulary.
Exactly. Someone to motivate you and keep you accountable.
But what about when you're not in a conversation group?
Well, there are plenty of ways to practice on your own.
Oh, like what?
Try using a new word in an email or a text message,
Okay.
or even in a social media post.
Oh, that's a good idea.
You can also incorporate new words into your journaling or creative writing.
So it's about finding creative ways to integrate these words into your everyday life.
Exactly. Make it a game. Have fun with it.
And the more you play that game, the more natural it will become.
Until eventually, using those words just feels effortless.
I love that. It's like we're training our brains to think in a whole new way.
We are expanding our capacity for thought, for expression.
Speaking of expanding, there's one word from the guide that I keep coming back to.
Oh, which one?
Ephemeral.
Ephemeral, yes.
Okay.
The word that describes things that are fleeting or temporary.
The beauty of cherry blossoms. A shooting star.
Summer romance.
It's a word that makes me think about the preciousness of time.
And the beauty of impermanence.
Yeah, because even though those things don't last forever,
They still hold value. They still have meaning.
it's like a reminder to appreciate the present moment.
To savor those fleeting moments of beauty and joy.
Because they're all we really have.
So true.
Okay, so we've explored context, word roots, synonyms. We've learned some fascinating new words like obfuscate, ubiquitous, mellifluous, and of course, ephemeral.
We've covered a lot of ground.
But it's not just about knowing the definitions.
Right.
It's about actively using these words, making them a part of who we are,
It's about becoming more intentional, more conscious of our language.
and using it to connect with others, to understand the world around us, and to express ourselves more fully.
Beautifully said. I think that's a perfect summary of what we've learned.
But is there anything else this guide has to say about how we can become more confident, more creative with the words we already know?
There is, actually. I think that's a great transition to the final chapter of our vocabulary adventure.
Oh, there's more. Okay, I am hooked. Don't leave us hanging.
Don't worry, we'll be back soon to wrap up this deep dive and explore even more strategies for mastering advanced English vocabulary.
Okay, I can't wait. All right, we are back and ready for the grand finale of our vocabulary adventure.
I'm excited to see what treasures we uncover in this last chapter.
Me too. We've been on quite the journey so far.
We have, from context clues to word roots to synonyms.
Even those tricky idioms.
We've built an impressive vocabulary toolkit.
But now it's time to put those tools to work.
Exactly, to take our wordsmithing skills to the next level.
So how do we do that? How do we go from vocabulary apprentice to master wordsmith?
Well, the guide suggests focusing on something really simple but powerful.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
It's all about attention.
Attention.
Yes, not just passively absorbing words.
But really paying attention to them.
Exactly. Engaging with them actively, dissecting their nuances.
So it's not just about how many words we know.
It's about how well we know them.
It's about understanding their depths, their potential.
Yes. It's about becoming more intentional, more conscious in our use of language.
So instead of just grabbing the first word that comes to mind,
We pause, we consider our options,
we think about the specific effect we want to create.
and we choose the word that best conveys that meaning.
It's like we're becoming language detectives,
I love that analogy, analyzing each word for clues.
uncovering its hidden history, its subtle connotations.
And understanding how it might impact the listener or reader.
So it's about more than just definitions.
It's about the relationships between words.
The way they interact with each other?
The way they evoke emotions and paint pictures in our minds.
Okay, I'm starting to see how powerful this can be.
But how do we actually put this into practice?
Yeah, are there any exercises we can try?
There are. The guide suggests something called word association.
Word association, I think I've heard of that.
It's about taking a word and exploring all the different connections it has in your mind.
Oh, so like brainstorming all the words, images, and feelings that come up when you think about that word.
Exactly. It's like creating a mind map for a word.
Okay, I like that. Let's try it.
Okay, what about the word mellifluous? What comes to mind?
Mellifluous. It makes me think of soft, gentle sounds,
Okay, like what?
like the sound of wind chimes or a harp.
Beautiful. Anything else?
And honey, like the word itself sounds sweet and smooth.
You're getting it now. How about obfuscate?
Obfuscate, that one feels different, more sharp and angular.
Okay, I see that. What else?
Like someone trying to hide something to make things more complicated than they need to be.
Like a magician using smoke and mirrors?
Yes. Exactly. It's like they're trying to confuse you, to lead you astray.
You see how each word has its own unique set of associations.
Yeah, it's like they each have their own personality, their own story to tell.
And by exploring those stories, we gain a deeper appreciation for the richness and complexity of language.
It's like each word is a doorway to a whole world of meaning.
And as we explore those worlds, we expand our own understanding of ourselves and the world around us.
I love that. This is making me realize that mastering vocabulary isn't just about sounding smart.
It's about becoming more aware, more attuned to the power of language.
It's about using words with intention, with sensitivity.
It's about using language to connect with others, to build bridges, to foster understanding.
And to express the full spectrum of human experience.
Beautifully said. I think that's a perfect way to wrap up our deep dive.
Me too. I feel like we've learned so much about the power of words.
And I hope you'll continue to explore the vast and fascinating landscape of language.
Yeah, this is just the beginning of our vocabulary adventure.
There are countless words waiting to be discovered.
And each new word is an opportunity to learn and grow. So keep exploring, keep learning, and keep playing with words.
Because language is a gift, a tool that allows us to connect with each other and make sense of the world around us.
Thank you for joining us on this incredible journey.
And happy wordsmithing.